So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Denver Gridiron and Hoops. Got with me VMAC. I'm David McDougall. So tell me, VMAC, what's cooking on that side of the world? And by that side, I just mean across the country.
Far at all. It's doom and gloom right now for the Nuggets, but we got plenty of time to get into that. I have a different take on it all, but I know a bunch of people are definitely hitting the panic button, rightfully so. There's some concerning things that are taking place, but outside of that, man, it's crazy. We are here in March already. I was doing something at work and wrote down 2027 on something, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa!"
You get a little ahead of
Although I had,
yourself there.
although I had to write it like for what I was doing, I was like, "Man, I don't even want to think about 2027 right now." So, if anybody else out there, you're saying, "Wow, March is already here, years flying by," I'm right there with you. You're not alone.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that way like midway through February. So it's just, it's just going to continue creeping, And I don't know if you know much about what's going on in Denver, but we've had this, what I've coined as the summer winter because, it's like almost in the 60s. There's like never snow. It's really weird.
It's turning into a desert.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. Don't want to have to move because I ain't about that desert life.
Super dry, super warm. It's like Nevada part 2.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of super dry, those dang Nuggets. I think I'm probably gonna butcher it, but I think that they were like 8-13 since since Jokic came back from injury. It's that's a bit concerning considering they were hovered around 500 with him out. The team is just frustrating to watch, and I do think you had a good point via conversation between the two of us, and it may have just been a text thread, but it was Adelman kind of losing control of the team to a degree. Definitely makes me wonder, and it also makes me wonder if this slide continues, if they'll end up making a change come near end. But who knows? What tell me your thoughts on the recent state of affairs with the Nuggets.
Do we have enough time to go through this all? There's a lot to unpack. I mean, last year, late in the season, they did fire a head coach, so it wouldn't be unprecedented at that point in time because you've already done it. And I mean, there's a few different things to unpack. So first off, there's a lot of Cam Johnson hate going on around, and rightfully so. He put up a goose egg. MPJ obviously on his worst night would never put up 0 points. He did leave early, right? Got injured, missed the game-winning shot against Oklahoma City before overtime. Obviously we got blown out in overtime. Cam had a wide open 3, look at it, and there's a lot of chatter about, oh, we should have kept MPJ, and maybe that was the move, and the front office just go into that second apron, spend more money, and deal with the salary repercussions. They weren't willing to do that. They weren't willing to pay the extra cash, and really no teams are. We see it all across the league. Nobody's, they want to stay out of the new tiered apron approaches. So I don't want to go backwards too much about, like, oh, hey, what would this look like if we still had MPJ? Because obviously Big Val isn't maybe contributing as much lately as he was earlier in the year. Cam Johnson's really struggling, not just offensively, some of his defensive mistakes, and it's not missed assignments. I will say that it's not like he's just completely missing assignments, but just getting beat. And is that because other people are in the wrong position? So if I just isolate the Cam Johnson thing, I would say, like, hey, there's still time for them to turn it around and figure out what's going on there, and maybe encourage him to just be more aggressive when he does get the ball, because
Yeah.
every time he touches the ball now, very timid, doesn't want to shoot, doesn't want to drive. Occasionally on a fast break, he'll take it to the lane, but a far cry of what we saw in Brooklyn. So I'm curious what your thoughts are just on Cam Johnson piece.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me hit the floor with that because I do. So I also have another take above and beyond what you were saying, and it's just the mental factor. So the guy came into town, struggled initially, and then kind of came on to where he was like pushing his numbers back up to what would be, we'll consider an average, if you get what I mean. And then he goes out. And then that time he was out was like extended. I don't know how long he was out, but I want to say it was like 8 weeks or something like that. I mean, that's a long time to not play basketball, you know? Like, I'm sure he was getting shots up and things like that, but it's not the same deal as, the night in, night out grind. So part of me wonders is if he came back and struggled a little bit, and then between that and his early struggles, if he's just head full of fog kind of type situation,
Hmm.
because he had a interview where he was pretty candid, where he was saying basically like, woe is me, if you get what I mean. He's like, I'm not doing well, I'm not doing well for anyone, and like part of me just thinks that he needs to get over that mental hurdle. And it's funny because I mean, we thought MPJ was a bit mentally soft, but man, we just exchanged for another one apparently. But I tell you
Yeah.
what, the one thing I will give him, he's had defensive struggles, but he still has some fundamentals that I just don't think were there with MPJ. So despite the struggles he's had, some of the intangibles that he's bringing still. Now, obviously, I do think that his struggles on the offensive side kind of leaked over into that, because overall
Hmm.
the guy just seems like right now he's just not in a good space mentally. Now that can turn around quick. I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah.
20 point game, all of a sudden you're on top of the world.
Get to the free throw line a few times in a game, do some things off the ball that maybe you're not doing now. And I mean, MPJ was open when he got off the bus in his own mind. And now Cam Johnson isn't even open when he's wide open. So
Yeah.
definitely some time for him to figure it out. If in fact, there's something going on with his ankle, then, get him some more time and rest. And maybe you shake up the starting lineup and say, "Hey, Cam, coming off the bench," and I don't know. This is where Adelman, you know, you you're getting paid the big bucks now. You're making the big boy decisions. So these are the things that are going to matter. And Adelman's getting a lot of heat too. One thing I always would get on Malone about is he'd always call the players out in the media, and Adelman hasn't done that so far this
Oh,
year,
he,
but
he started.
he yeah, he's seen and had enough, so he's pulling a page from the old Malone playbook.
Uh,
And then he said, like, it wasn't so much what the Timberwolves were doing, we let them do it. I was like, "No, dude, it was 100% what the Timberwolves were doing."
yeah.
Um, just for me personally, and obviously he'll never be anywhere near the level of a coach that anyone there is, but I would have been so ticked off when they were skipping around like little schoolboys on our home floor. I don't know if you saw that after Nas Reed. He had a good Euro step over Val, and he was just skipping around. The whole bench was skipping around on our home floor, and I'm like, that's the kind of stuff that's just as bad, if not worse, than what Lou Dort did, because you're at home and they just kind of sat there and watched
Yeah.
it. I'm not having that. So Adelman, the piece that I struggle with the most, everybody talks about rotations. You can't have Murray and Jokic out at the same time, et cetera, et cetera. That part is what it is. For me, all year long, healthy, whenever healthy, he will play Jokic for the entire first quarter and the entire third quarter. And for me, the first and third quarter, you're not going to win or lose the game in the first or third quarter.
Right.
You're going to win or lose the game in the second and the fourth quarter. Jokic is constantly on the bench to start the second quarter and constantly on the bench to start the fourth quarter, because in his mind, for I don't know what it is, he wants Jokic to play that entire first quarter and then get his break. For
Malone
me,
would do that too.
that's one of the things he needs to break away from. get Jokic out at the 7, 8 minute mark, or not 7, after he's played 7 or 8 minutes in the first quarter, meaning there's about 3, 4 minutes left. Bring him out. It is what it is. If you let up a lead, lose up a lead,
I like that.
and then you bring him back in the second quarter with about 10 minutes left and let him claw that lead back and give you momentum going into halftime, or extend a lead potentially. And then the same thing for the fourth quarter. He should never be sitting at any point in time during the fourth quarter if you plan to play him a full quarter. Like, it shouldn't
Right.
be the first
Yeah, that makes a lot of
or the
sense.
third, if that's what you're doing. Because there's a lot of talk about, like I said, oh, Murray and or Jokic should never be sitting at the same time. For me, that's the big adjustment he needs to make. The other thing I'd like to see, if we're talking about rotations, is give Big Val a minute or two to warm up alongside Jokic and then pull him out. You're asking Val to come in cold on a bench unit, putting a lot of pressure and stress on him to figure out what to do, how to do. Whereas Jokic can probably bring him along for a couple minutes, get him into the flow of the game, get him a touch or two, and then you have him come out and sub him out for whoever else you plan to bring on anyways, right? Even if it's Hardaway Jr. a little bit later. So there's a lot of things that I think he could do differently. For me, that Jokic quarter-wise is the big one, and then everybody's talking about, health, getting Aaron Gordon and
Yeah.
PY back. So,
Yeah. So one thing that I found kind of shocking is just the minutes for Strother with the starting unit.
mhm,
Specifically with how poor he performed in his outings. I do find it absolutely amazing that during, the health issues and everything like that, Spencer Jones played like 35 minutes a night and now he gets like 2. Like, where's the rhyme or reason behind that?
mhm,
And my main reason is just because I thought he brought a little bit of grit, if you get what I mean. Um, I think for the past 5 years, the Nuggets' weakness has been physicality. So that's
mhm,
why teams like Minnesota and Oklahoma City Thunder are our kind of bane to our existence, because they are going to play physical the entire time. And that's just what they're going to do. And unfortunately, we've become like a finesse team, if you get what I mean. And we're getting bullied. And, Jokic, unfortunately, the way he reacts is the same thing he did with Lou Dort. That is my least favorite version of Jokic, simply because that means he's out of control. That means he's going to start making mistakes. That
yep,
means he's going to start getting silly foul calls for no reason and things of that nature. So if they're able to pull that out of him, then we're going to struggle with the really the outlook of any of those types of series. That being said, if he can find a way to channel that in a way of, now I'm not going to let this team beat me. Now
mhm,
I am going to score, instead of like, making the extra pass just because it's the right thing to do. I'm going to put the ball in the bucket. That's my hope. And the reason why that's my hope is because this season, as I have kind of told you before, I don't think it's a championship caliber season. We do not perform well in the clutch, which to me, regardless of sport, I think is very important. Whether it's, basketball, football, hockey, whatever the case may be, when you're performing well in the clutch regularly throughout the season, I think it tends to leak into the playoffs and then create success from there. Worth mentioning, like, for example, the Avalanche, like that year they won, they were always a very clutch team. And like this year in the Olympics, it seems as if the Avalanche players were the reasons why the determination went the way it did. So, and it's, same with the Broncos. They were very clutch up until Bo Nix had went down. You felt like they always had a chance. The year after the championship, the Nuggets still stayed clutch, and that's why I felt like they still had a chance. But unfortunately, they just had one less weapon than they did the previous year, and that's why they weren't able to repeat. So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about. A little bit of a tangent there.
No, you're spot on. They get him out of his game. Gobert does it as well. You know, um, gets him to where he's ticked off, and it becomes I gotta beat and destroy and dominate this other player that I'm playing when his game is much more like how do we as a team beat this opponent. So I mean, there's a lot of doom and gloom, but I'll call out some positive notes. One, prior to the All-Star break, injury or not, they were heavily focused on scoring, being the number one scoring team in the league. And you can see post All-Star break, that is not the goal. They are heavily focused on playing the best defense they can possibly play. We've seen stretches post All-Star break where they've played really good on defense, and we've seen some poor stretches as well. But overall, for me, I'd rather take these lumps right now, trying to switch up their style and start setting the pace for the postseason, than take these lumps early in the first round when all of a sudden we're down 3-1 in the series or something like that, trying to switch up our style. So I'll inject some positivity there and say, hey, this is good that they're switching their style of play and trying to be more playoff minded and playoff focused versus let's just be the number one offense in the league. And then two, we've said it all year, if we can have Gordon in the lineup in that dunker position, it's going to completely change the offense and how teams have to guard against us. Plus, he has the ability to defend as well. So
Even shoot
there's
threes.
some positive things coming our way.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to touch on what you were mentioning just prior as my brain goes completely blank. Along the lines of taking the lumps now. You get what I mean? Like when you were mentioning about taking it during the season as opposed to the playoffs. That was it reminded me of the Broncos and gridiron and hoops, so we blended both sides. Um so I was thinking about it brought me immediately to my take on Bo Nix all year where basically I think he wasn't running as much, but it was designed. I think they were telling him, "Hey, man, you got to learn to be a pocket quarterback, and if it means that we're gonna take some lumps along the way, we're gonna do it because you need to stick in there and you need to make the right choices, you need to make the right reads, and we need to develop you as a quarterback, not just only strive to win." I know it sounds stupid and counterintuitive, but winning can come in multiple ways if you learn how to do this correctly.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it just it reminded me of that is you have to sometimes weigh the balance of the future and the present, if you get what I mean. And that's what you were saying they're doing, which is by all means where we need to be. Um, I just hope that they can get basically anything but the two-man game going, because by all means, the two-man game is very successful, but it also becomes somewhat predictable, and it also kind of reduces the dimensions of the team. Um, Not to say that they're going to go primarily to that. I just want them to continue to try to develop the other stuff. Take those lumps now, so that way in the playoffs they have more success.
100%. You got to get the other guys active in the game where they're not just sitting on the 3-point line thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to touch this ball. It's either going to be Murray or Jokic, taking a high percentage shot for them.
Or maybe Gordon with some scraps.
Yeah, so couldn't agree with you more there. So, I mean, like I said, there's some positive notes. The other positive note I have is, Christian Brown is 100% back. He is playing strong defense, cutting, leading out on breaks, um, shooting below league average on 3-pointers, but that's always been him. Um, so it's good to see him back healthy and in tune with Joker, and hope that relationship continues to develop as others get healthy.
I tell you what, though, he's super confident when he shoots it. No,
Yeah, he snaps that wrist.
yeah,
You could tell he learned that at a young age,
right.
and it's constantly short. I don't know how, but this is just constantly just kisses the front of that rim. Maybe, I wouldn't say step in because then it's just a long two. But
Right.
hey, maybe come playoff time,
Hey, do what you
if
gotta
he can
do.
shoot 35 or 40% from 3. Talk about a dangerous weapon. So,
So,
we have hope.
so Christian Brown, Vinny's saying just throw in a few more squats here and there because the jumper comes from the legs. So you've been out for a long while. Maybe your legs aren't quite under you yet. Maybe throw in a few extra squats. You're gonna be hitting.
Yeah, or, I guess drive it to the lane. There's that too. You don't there's a reason they're giving you that open 3 right now. So, um, we'll see that there's some things to worry about. There's some positive notes. The schedule is unrelenting over the next 8 or 9 games. Then we get some easier ones, I think, to end the season out. Not all of them are easy, but
Yeah.
this stretch is going to challenge them physically, mentally, but how resilient are they? Luckily, they got a slump buster game tonight with the Utah Jazz. Jason Giambi and the Golden Thong. It might as well be the Utah Jazz. So slap it on, get out there, get a couple hits, and get yourself back on track.
Right. So looking forward, Vinny and I had a really brief kind of text exchange where we were talking about where the Nuggets are actually going to line up at in the playoff standings. And to be honest, it's pretty bleak right now. We went from, being a top 3 kind of mainstay to looking like we could finish anywhere from 3 to 8. Well, that'll be 3 to 7, we'll say. So it'll be interesting. I tell you what, like I told Vinny, if we end up in the bubble, that's going to be one team that everyone's going to be chapped to play in the first round. Cause I mean, even if we're playing poor, you don't want to face the guy that's constantly in MVP discussions every single year.
Yeah, you you no team wants to see the Nuggets, especially if at full health.
Yeah.
But at the same rate, I don't know that any teams are scared of the Nuggets anymore, full health or not.
Yeah.
So teams are in fact scared of Wemby and the Spurs, right? Because he's just a freak. And teams are scared of OKC because they're the defending champs, and SGA can get to anywhere he wants on the floor. And that's what Adamant also said, was like, hey, Jokic is just kind of upset that they don't call the perimeter game as the same way they call the interior game. 100% true, right? Like the way Jokic gets touched up, you could not do that to SGA whatsoever. It's a foul every single time.
Not a fraction.
What I'd like him to shift their mindset to, Jokic talking directly to you, and actually I got another take on that, is, dude, you get away with so many offensive fouls. Like, use that as your way into the game. Like, offensive foul until they actually call one on you. Bully ball as much as you possibly can. How many offensive fouls do they call on Jokic?
Not a terrible amount, especially these days. When it's younger days, yeah.
But if they're going to allow you to bully ball down there, then do it. Bully ball until they call multiple offensive fouls, because they're not going to give you calls. It's clear as day. You're not going to go to the free throw line 10 times a game like SGA or the other guards. It's just not going to happen. So,
well, and also if you're going to do it, the bully ball, don't try to draw a foul. Just bully, and don't complain when you don't get the foul. Just go down, and then next time around, hit him again.
correct. Change the mindset to, I'm going to be super aggressive. I'm going to be super aggressive, and I'm going to make them call an offensive foul against me. And if they don't, I'm going to just ram it down the other team until they start calling fouls on me, because they're not going to give you calls, but they also don't do calls against you. You're over the back constantly. You're pushing around, and they don't call it against you, dude. So, like, take the good with the bad, adjust your style. But I know he listens to this podcast, so we'll
avidly. He's probably one of the 4 people in here right now.
Of course. The last thing I'll say on the Nuggets. Yeah, sorry. Last thing I'll say on the Nuggets is Jokic better be very happy he's not in LA, because
Right.
Luka is getting absolutely torched in so many ways. And I'm sorry, Jokic, he is a defensive liability. It is clear as day. He is not as quick laterally as he was when we won the championship. He's just not.
Yeah, he's a little bigger
Um,
too.
when we won the championship, he was able to at least extend out pick and rolls to make it a little more difficult for people to go around and move through. His lateral quickness is so completely gone. Either he's playing way under or way over the top to where it is just putting everybody in a bad place defensively. And Luke is getting torched for it. But since Jokic is in Denver, um, media is not going to ride him like
Well,
they do Luca. But he's just as much of a defensive fault as anybody on the team because they'll constantly pick on him. We saw it with Hartenstein. We saw it with J Dub, they call him in OKC, where they just bring him out on an island. And that was their strategy is like, oh, Jokic will just blitz then against SGA. That didn't work either because he just doesn't have the lateral quickness he did when we won the championship.
the one thing I will give him, kind of like I was saying with Cam, is he's actually had the longest absence of his entire career this year. So I do think that he typically uses the season to get into playing shape, if you get what I mean. Because I mean, let's be real, he doesn't start game one looking like he's ready for the season, if you get what I mean. He uses the season to kind of get himself into shape. So I think it bit him this year because of the injury, and now he's playing a little bit heavier on top of dealing with injury, and his wrists seem to be bugging him again, which obviously the wrist doesn't affect lateral mobility, but it's just more or less the overall picture, if you get what I mean.
True.
Now obviously I'm always the Jokic defender, so sorry guys, it's just, you know, he's my bromance.
Yeah, this is where you throw in. He's got quick hands,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
like
I've got all
everything
the
that doesn't
excuses
make
in the
him a
book,
liability.
bro. you know, like,
He
he's
occasionally gets a block. He gets
he get
steals because his hands are
he
so.
gets steals, man. He made sure that his teamworks or his teammates were in the right place at the right time on defense. So that counts.
Yeah, he's out there barking orders.
But
Meanwhile, just getting torched.
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what the fix is to that. They tried 2-3 zone against OKC for a few possessions, didn't go well. They tried against Minnesota quite a bit, didn't go well because I mean these teams have scouted it so well. The hope again, hey, if we have P Watt and we have Aaron Gordon, they can mask some of these deficiencies. But I'm telling you right now, like if he was in LA, he'd be getting torched, just like Luka is. He's just
Yeah.
in small.
Well, and that's why when they both come back, P Watt has to start. We gotta send Cam to the bench, and P Watt's gonna start mainly because of his defensive prowess, the ability to basically mask another player. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because he's gonna provide you that help off ball and things like that. So I think P Watt's showing enough this year. He needs to be a starter. He needs to be in that starting lineup come playoffs. And it's one of those things where he's showing that he's a better contributor than Cam. So you know what I mean. So that's where I
Yeah.
am with it, at least.
At minimum, he is not afraid to take threes or even deep threes, as we saw pre-injury. He had the ability to break people down off the dribble, which we haven't seen from Cam this year, injury or not. So those two elements alone bring a new element to the offense. And then we all know, since day one, he's always been a very difficult, lengthy defender. Like
Yeah.
he has quickness, length, he can block shots, all the things that you want to see. So, like I said,
Yeah.
hopefully they can mask some of the deficiencies, but um, we gotta figure it out now. There's
When
no time left.
when he was younger, I always called him the baby deer because he just
Yeah.
looked like he wasn't used to his legs, if you get what I mean. He'd be falling down all the time. But anyways, I wanted to get into the Broncos offseason real quick because we've got free agency coming up. Believe it's not this Monday, but the following Monday. Am I mistaken there?
I don't remember. I just know
Okay.
the draft is what, the 23rd?
Mm-hmm. So, what's your take on things? Or actually, sorry, real quick. Let's go back to the Nuggets just super quick. Tyus Jones signed
Mm.
today. Should have went with that in the beginning. My bad, guys. But Tyus Jones, point guard. He's. I mean, let's be real. This year he hasn't played a whole lot. Last year he played a little bit more. Vinny, since he's a Dookie, I need your expert opinion on Tyus Jones.
So he, first off, can handle point guard duties.
Yep,
So
that's what I love.
just right there um, is enough, because it is exhausting to watch NBA teams that can't bring the ball up. So, and I don't know when this became a thing. I didn't know this was a thing until recent years. Like, maybe I just didn't watch the game close enough growing up, or maybe this is just more like a,
I think it's because people stopped pressuring full court, and then all of a sudden people were like, "Wait, we have athletic guys. Why don't we just pressure full court?"
yeah, and they can do it for 40 minutes
For
straight,
40 minutes, yeah.
and then just still shoot threes. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have, just pressure full court and shoot threes, and we're good.
Yeah.
So whenever the league figured this part out, I did not know that. I knew this was a thing for sure in college and high school. 100%. That has always been a thing. Like, can you beat a press?
Mhm.
That's like high school and college, but in recent years, pro. So first off, he can do that. Secondly, he played meaningful playoff minutes. I know it feels like a long time ago, but
Was it with
before
the Grizzlies
John
or
Morant,
yeah.
found, went on live with the pew pew. Um, um, he he was probably his second year, maybe even his rookie or second year, but he's seen meaningful playoff minutes. So right there, my goodness, we can have somebody other than Jamal Murray bring the ball up and trust that they won't turn the ball over, is a win. And I know we were hoping that Brucey B would kind of fill that role. And he has, but he can't set up any kind of offense. He can just get the ball over the half court line.
Yeah,
That's literally the extent of what he can do
and
in
I
that capacity.
I although so let yeah, and real quick on Brucey B, he definitely, has lost a bit of his game. But I do like that adding a point guard can kind of mitigate him as a slasher, or sorry, mitigate him as like the playmaker and turn him into a slasher. Because I think Bruce Brown is a phenomenal slasher.
Mhm.
That's why I'd love to see him instead of throwing, for example, Strother in the starting lineup. I'd rather see Bruce Brown there because just let him
Yeah.
slash. But I understand why he's not. Adelman's not doing that. He's trying to get that bench cohesion between just those guys and stuff like that. But at a certain point, you gotta kind of do what it takes to win. If you get what I mean, it's kind of that present versus future type stuff.
Yep.
Unless they think Strother's going to be the guy they're re-signing. I don't know why they didn't just do that with Peyton Watson, but
So I think it's a good pickup. There's not much out there. And he fills a void and a gap that we have, especially if there's any type of injury in any way, shape, or form. Just a guy that can bring the ball past half court, set up some sort of offense, is a win for the Nuggies.
right. So yeah, so swinging back over to the Broncos, we got free agency fast approaching. I shared my free agent list with you. I'm not sure if I did it with the stream, so I'll go ahead and let that be known. So Brees Hall, I think it'd be a heck of a pickup. He's only 24 years old. Someone to age a little bit with Bo Nix, and by a little bit, running back position. So who knows how long that might be.
Yeah.
um, your boy down in Atlanta, I'm not sure if he was underutilized or if he is just not if he'll have the Evan Ingram effect, but I'd love to see Kyle Pitts come aboard. And then
You're going to say Algier, the running back.
only need one of them. Only need one running back. Well, I also want J.K. Dobbins to sign. So I want basically Dobbins as a spell with Brees Hall as the primary back, and then J.K. getting some third down running back / goal line looks. And then my final kind of want it would be Devin Bush. I want that a middle linebacker to step in that can actually cover in the middle of the field. I was tired of seeing people catch and then Singleton running 5 yards behind and finally getting a tackle. So that's my wish list right there, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily too greedy in terms of I think the guys are gettable. I think most of them are young enough to where they'll be a core member as opposed to just a patch. But yeah, that's where I'm sitting with free agency.
I like where your head's at. We've heard a lot of noise about running back for sure, and we'll see. I don't think they're going to address it in the draft, right? Because they just tried that.
I hope they
So
don't.
I am
Honestly, I
curious
want a veteran.
what I was most happy about, regardless of who we pick up, was the NFL just increased the salary cap,
Nice.
and we have Walmart money. So more money to spend, Walmart money, Russell Wilson contract and dead money falling off the books. I think they're going to have a bit of a spending spree, and where they fill those voids, I'm not sure. And it could be they're also bringing guys back, right? Guys who maybe we thought would get more money elsewhere. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We could probably be more confident in re-signing some guys too. Sean Payton was doing some interview, and he's listed, Adam Troutman as a guy who, you got to look at. He's on the free agency list. I'm like, really, of all the players you mentioned, Troutman, but
They said they wanted to re-sign Singleton and Sternad, which I was surprised by. And they also mentioned forget who it is now. But yeah, of course he wants Troutman. Oh yeah, McMillan ended up getting a second round tender. So he's either going to make $6 million or someone's going to offer him something and we can either match or let him go and get a second round pick back is kind of what that means.
Which I think we both agree is a great move.
Yeah.
He had just a really strong postseason. He's one of the few reasons we made it to the AFC Championship game.
And he makes plays.
Yeah.
I think it's really tough to get rid of players that make plays.
Yeah. Big time plays and big time games.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, I'm curious who they retain, who they sign, but I'm most excited by the fact that we can just spend more money and we can spend that Walmart money. So
yeah, I don't want a wide receiver in the draft because we've got all these young guys, and it'd be hard for them to basically leapfrog anybody that the coaching staff likes already, if you get what I mean. I tell you one thing I wouldn't sneeze at is if they threw, as much as I hate paying wide receivers a lot of money, if they threw George Pickens fat contract, I think I'd be all right with that. The guy is a physical talent.
Yeah, if they are thinking wide receiver, I would say a big splash versus a draft pick.
Yes.
Because I mean, what are you saying at that point if you draft somebody? You're saying Pat Bryant was just a complete waste of a pick? Obviously he had concussion stuff late in the season, but if you've assessed him in this 1 year and say he's a complete waste, then I guess maybe we draft a wide receiver. And Franklin, obviously, I don't know if he can stay healthy long enough. He's a smaller wideout.
This will be his third season in the upcoming season, right?
Yeah, I can't remember what year he's on. I think so.
Mims is on year 4, so they're at decision time, which obviously it always, I get angry about this, but he always does so well and they just choose not to use him, and it just frustrates me so bad.
Yeah, and again, very good postseason. I know it's short for us, just 2 games, but still had a good, good couple games there. So I'm like I said, I'm not too keen on any one guy in free agency. Just let's spend as much money as we possibly can because the Bo Nix contract window is closing soon, where he's gonna get paid, and based off all his stats, he has no reason to not get top 3, top 5 quarterback money when it's ready,
Yeah.
barring, health. But the touchdowns, the interceptions, the wins and losses, I mean, how could you not pay him? Like,
Yeah.
whether you're a Bo Nix fan or not, the touchdowns are there, the win column is there. And what else do you want from a quarterback?
Yeah, and really that's what it comes down to is we've got a couple years of a window, we'll call it. Um and I mean for like the listeners, like they often say that a franchise quarterback on a rookie salary is basically your prime opportunity to contend because it's an affordable contract and that way you can fill up the rest of the team and solidify the team. So that's kind of what we're mentioning here. And really 2 of those years were wasted with the Russell Wilson, dead cap, but now we finally got that off. But then we're sitting here with some bloated contracts. We got Ben Powers making 18 mil when I think Pazuski might be a better starter. There was an article that came out, Vinny, where they were talking about he might be a potential trade target for teams, Ben Powers, that is. Um, but it would be 8 million dead cap, or it would be like 10 million dead cap, 8 million free cap space. NFL's weird with the cap rules and all that.
Yeah.
But they also have the options to, push money into future years and things like that. So I do think I think you're right that they have the potential to make big moves. I think George Penner specifically said, and by specifically I mean I'm loosely quoting him, that they're willing to make big moves if they make sense. You get what I mean? Like it was something along those lines. So that's really good to
Yeah.
hear that from your owner, though. That
Agreed.
that as long as the move makes sense, they're not just making a move to make a move, that they're going to do it. And because when you make a move to make a move, that's how you handicap your team for years to come. I mean, first thing I can think of is Peyton when he decided to get Randy Gregory. That was a bad contract. Luckily, I don't think it hurt too bad, but in general, that contract was not wise. Do you love the pressure of it, Vinny?
Sorry. I was, like, trying to find out where it was and turn it off too. Sorry for our listeners out there. Imagine if it
All
was,
hundreds
like,
of you. Oh.
the millions and millions watching around the world.
Uh, but yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it when it comes to the Broncos, unless you've got any notes you want to hit.
Yeah, I'd say for the draft, they got 2 linebackers that might fall to them. Maybe not. Maybe they will. Maybe they don't. Um, Anthony Hill and CJ, one from Texas, one from Georgia. I think both linebackers would um, find a way to impact the defense. If they don't go linebacker, I wouldn't mind looking at cornerback or DN. You can't have enough of them. You can't have enough corners. You can't have enough DNs. Um,
I'd rather a safety than a corner,
yeah,
just
I could
because
see
we
that.
just got Barron. I really hope he's not a bust.
That's true.
But I mean,
So I guess maybe I'll just say defense
yeah.
because
So
guess what?
I'm okay with basically any D lineman, any linebacker. I'd honestly prefer this year. Well, I don't know. Is PJ Locke a free agent? He is, I think,
Ooh,
right?
I'm not sure.
That's the reason why I said safety because I thought he is gone. But yeah, I mean, you named my guy, and I've told you this many a times. Anthony Hill Jr. I think he's a baller. Um, I think that he can cover the middle of the field. He's lengthy and he's rangy, and he actually reads quarterback eyes very well. Now everybody take into account that I am not a professional scout. I'm just watching some YouTube videos. But from what I've seen, I like.
Yeah. First round grade. So you're right in the right spot. Will he fall to us is the question. We'll see. PJ Locke is a unrestricted free agent, so we could probably kiss him goodbye unless the Broncos really loved him and want to keep him.
Yeah, honestly, I think he should go. You know, we were talking about like free agency pickups that we didn't understand when we wanted Cam Newton, stuff like that. Um I was really surprised that the Broncos didn't pick up Justin Simmons when they were having safety problems. Let's bring him home and let him play some backup safety role. I feel like he could still contribute unless he's just done. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I can't help but think that maybe there's something with VJ there that we don't know about.
Well, that very well could be true.
I could be wrong. Reckless speculation. Let me just preface this to our
Yeah.
millions of viewers out there.
Well,
There
and
there might be some bad blood.
and a large part of a lot of the cleaning house that Sean Payton did was because he didn't like the leadership in place. Maybe that was part of it.
Yeah.
And that is reckless speculation as well, because by all accounts, the guy was pretty good. But in case y'all didn't know, Izzy recently had a birthday, so I have Baby Shark with me here. Just figured y'all would
Oh,
enjoy that.
that looks like Grandpa Shark, not
Yeah,
Baby
you're
Shark.
right. You're right. That's that. I'm just so used to saying Baby Shark. But I figured I'd brighten y'all's day with that. But this is Denver Gridiron and Hoops. We're here to provide you expert analysis. I'm looking at you guys when I say that, expert. And
Yeah.
make sure you guys come back next time so we can shoot the breeze. And make sure to hit the comments up, because we would totally like to get to them and argue why we think you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But
Next week, I'm gonna see how loud how loud I have to fart for the mic to actually catch it. So come back for more.
so far it hasn't yet.
Exactly.
All right, y'all have a good one.